We're on page 2 and we have 2 pre-cuts. The first one is a 4 by 9 1/8. And we laid that on our scoring board. We are 4 inches across and we scored at a 1/2 inch. Then we turned it, so now we are 9 1/8 across. We scored at a 1/2 and 8 5/8. And we called this one our page 2 large pocket. We had a 4 by 6. It's our small pocket. And we laid this, so we are 4 inches across. We scored at a 1/2. Then we turned it, so now we are 6 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 and 5 1/2. If you are die cutting trim, you'll want to cut a piece that is 8 1/8 across, and you will piggyback, just like I did. I'm using the same die I did before. And you'll leave about a 1/2 inch white down there. Also, one of these. Let's begin by finding our main decorative paper. In your paper pack, you will find this beautiful print on the back. It looks like this. Our first cut, we're going to measure over 8 1/8 and cut. Once you've done that, we're going to turn it this way. We're going to measure over 9 7/8 and cut. So this is going to be our main decorative page. Now, we have 2 pockets. It is going to cover some of this, but I'm not going to worry too much about it because by the time we're done, it's going to look good anyway. I didn't want to cover this, but it's how it's going to play out. Now, on our 2 small pockets, let's cut out those corner squares on each one of them. And all we need to do now is fold on all the score lines, and then we are going to assemble our pocket like we've done before. So we'll review that. Here's our sides. Here's our little corners. Fold in and pull up. And we're going to do the same thing with that one. Perfect. Okay, for the large pocket, if you are using die cuts, you can place it on top and bring it up to where you can't see the white behind it. It'll grab and look just like that, and we can do it right on top, or you can do it behind. And I am going to probably do it on top. It'll fit a little bit better. So push it up till I can't see that white anymore, and I want to make sure it's straight. That looks pretty straight to me. Now, die cutter, and the opening, of course, is at the top. Here's this one. So what's going to happen with this is you're going to have extra on each side. We'll just wrap that around to the back. And this top little white goes to the top of the pocket. And we'll wrap that behind. And the thing is right here, you can leave that just like that, or you can snip it down. I'm just going to leave mine, to be honest. I'm not going to snip off this little bit. Alright, it's time to find our paper, everyone. So we are going to be conserving on paper, and in your paper, or in your reserves, excuse me, you will find this long strip. It's about 12 inches long. On the back side it looks like this. And you will find this strip. And on the back it looks like this. If you were to place this one fits perfect side to side. This one will have to be cut down a little bit. But how we're going to do that is we're just going to be sliding that back behind. It's going to give us a unique little trim here. So all we have to do is use our pencil and mark it once you have that down. Where's my pencil? Now you can measure over 8 1/8 and cut this if you would like, or you can just use the pencil. Okay, so now that we have these cut, we're first going to lay this one, I believe. So we'll get this down. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a break. So when you're laying this, if you do not have die cuts, you'll just make sure you leave your little white lip there. And I'll burnish that down in a moment. And then this one's going to come over the top, or you can go just like that. It's up to you. I'm going to do the other way, the way I originally did. But this way we can conserve on some paper and use up some of these smaller ones. Get that down. Okay, so I'm going to give this just a little bit of a bend. I'm going to give you some measurements in a moment. For now, let's just lay this off to the side and find our paper for this. Okay, in your reserves you will find this print, and on the back it is this. We're going to look at it with the trees going sideways. We're going to measure over 4 7/8 and cut. Once you have that, here is this beautiful little background, and that's what's going to be at the top here. But we do need to trim off some. So let's turn it sideways. The trim is like this. Measure over 3 3/8 and cut. Once you have that, we're going to apply glue and glue that down. That looks about right. I'll give that a little bend. All right, so I'm going to give you a measurement here. I do need to lay this down first. And this is going to go off at an angle. And I think right about here we can get some larger mats in there, photographs, and then this one can come up like this and still be able to. So, measuring up, very easy, right above this little trim. I don't even have to give you a measurement, to be honest. So we'll give this a little bend. We'll get some glue on this. That worked out. And the bottom of this is going to go just right above that. And you'll want to make sure you are even side to side. And I'm a little crooked. Okay, let's get those down. Perfect. Let's grab this one. And then we do have something else that I wanted to do on this page. Now this one's going to go a little bit at an angle, and I'm just going to come up enough to maybe 1/2 inch from here up, a little bit off to the side, and place it. And I'm going to pucker this up just a little bit to give a little dimension. There's enough spacing between the pages to where we can do that. On the cut apart sheet, the one that we've been cutting on, what I would like us to get after is this piece here. This one right up here. Let's cut out and around this piece. Once you've done that, then what we can do is find a piece of scrap cardstock right here. We'll apply glue. We will glue this down, and we will leave a white little border when we cut this out. I will show you what mine looks like as soon as I am done. Okay, I have mine done here. All we're going to do with this is we are going to glue this down. However, I want to make it so we can slide something back behind. So the glue, we'll just move this in about 1/2 inch from the side. We'll just drag this up so we can see. We'll put a little glue here. And then we'll put a little glue up here, just right at the top. I'm going to give mine just a little bend. That way we can still utilize that. It's kind of nice looking. Okay, for down here. On the back of one of your Stamperia paper packs, you will have the cut apart sheet. And you know I'm going to go after this one. So we're going to cut out and round this the best we can. And I'll show you what mine looks like, of course. And then what we're going to do is back it to some white cardstock and cut around it again. So let me cut mine out. You do not have to be real persnickety about it, not on something like this. I will show you what mine looks like when I am done. Before I mount it onto white cardstock, I want to show you what I did. I left this alone. I didn't get too detailed about it. So now I'm going to place this down on some white cardstock, cut out and around it, and then I'll show you again what it looks like. Here is mine with the backing. And we're just going to place this down right like this. And we're going to make sure we glue everything down. Especially these edges here where it's kind of smaller. I was going to make a little pocket, but I think we should just glue this down. And I'll just come over, make sure that this does not go over the edge, and place it. I am happy with page 2. It is complete. Let's flip it over. Score tape goes around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle and one on either side, and I will meet you back at the book. I still have yet to burnish this, and I will in just a bit. But here is our page 2. And I'm going to grab something that has a little color so you can see my edges over here. So the idea of this is after we remove the score tape, and you might want to squirt maybe a little glue in there, is we're going to be placing this down. And when we do that, we're going to be leaving about a 1/4 inch away from that hinge here, our page hinge. That will still give us about 1/8 of an inch away from the outside. So I'm going to place mine first. I am going to burnish really quick, and then I'll be right back. I have the glue squirt in between the score tape, and I have a line of glue down here, so in case I need to maneuver this. So about a 1/4 inch away. I look pretty straight down there, and place it. And now I'm going to burnish. Take a moment to burnish this down really good. Okay, we're ready to place page 1. And I still have the score tape backing and everything on that. The idea of this is, the reason why we wait is it's easier to line this up with if we already have page 2 in, because the inside of the chipboard is larger than our inner pages here. Generally, what you want to do is just kind of look to see where the bottom of your decorative paper is here, and then you'll shuffle it over a bit, and then we will place it. So I am going to take a moment, remove my score tape, probably shoot some glue here and along the bottom, and we'll place that together. I am ready to go. Got my glue. Don't forget to remove the backing off of your little magnet there, and I did dab a little glue there. Okay, so be mindful of where your hinge is and just come over. And you're going to try and keep that straight and try to keep it lined up with the bottom of where you sat this one. So I think I'm pretty good there. Okay, it's time to burnish. So when you're burnishing, you definitely want to open up your book. And be mindful of where that magnet is so you don't gouge it with your tool. So it's very easy. Let's just take your time at getting everything lined up. So there is page 1 and 2. I hope you like it. Let's move on. Page 3. We're on page 3, and we have some pre-cuts to review. The first one is a 1 3/8. Oh, my camera is shaking. Sorry. Stop that. 1 3/8 by 4 5/8, and we called it a large strap. And what we did was we laid this on our scoring board, so we are 4 5/8 across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch. The next one, we had a small strap, 1 3/8 by 3 1/8. And what we did was we laid it on our scoring board. We are 3 1/8 across, and we scored it at a 1/2. Next, we cut a 4 1/2 by 6 inch piece of cardstock. We called it our bottom flip. We put this on our scoring board. We are 4 1/2 inches across, and we scored it at a 1/2 inch. Next, we had 4 pieces that were cut identical, and it was 4 1/4 by 6 inch. We called this a side WF. WF just stands for waterfall, side waterfall. And what we did was on each one of these, we laid it on our scoring board. We are 6 inches across, and we scored each one at a 1/2 inch. First thing we're going to do is get our decorative paper. In your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous print. I'm going to get that out of the way. Oh, and really quick, if you are die cutting, we're going to be using the same Spellbinders die. We're just going to die cut 2 of these. So you just need 2. All right, we're ready to go. On the back side, it looks like this. We're going to turn this upside down. We're going to measure over 8 1/8 and cut. After making that cut, we'll put this in our reserves. We're going to turn it like this, so Winter Tales is down over here, measure over 9 7/8 and cut. And this piece here, we're going to place in our reserves. So we're going to use this as our main decorative page. And the first pieces that we're going to work with are the 4 1/4 by 6 inch. I'm just going to move that out of the way. These are our side waterfall. And all we're going to do is fold on that score line and crisp up that crease there. And I finally found my tool. All right, we have all 4. Let's grab our piece. Here we are. So this one that has the writing on it, that's going to be the last one to go down. We'll work with this one. Now I'm going to give you a measurement here. And what you're going to do is measure in a 1/2 inch from the side, just somewhere around in this area. And make a pencil mark. I'm going to show you first before we do, so you're not flying blind here, and it might be easier. But place one of these. See our hinge? Just fold it back behind so you can see. Bring that edge all the way to your pencil line. And leave maybe about 3/4 of an inch from the top. So what's going to end up happening is these are all going to layer. Just like this. With a 1/2 inch spacing. Just like that. Then what's going to happen is our bottom flip, which you can fold on, is going to sit like this. Okay? So our measurement from the top is about 3/4 of an inch, 5/8, no more than that. So that is what we are going to be doing. Now, I like usually doing the score tape, but we're going to use the glue so that you can maneuver and get this on straight. Just keep track of where your little pencil mark is. So I'm going to put some glue on this. I'm going to keep it bent back behind. Make sure I'm about 3/4 of an inch from the top and put that to where that line is. Trying to keep that as straight as I can. And glue is helpful because then if you make a mistake, you can maneuver it a little bit while it's still wet. For some reason I feel like I'm crooked, but oh well. Here we go. So this is real easy. And here is the flap of the Pika's up, just like we did before. We'll put a little glue there. And it's kind of like when we did our hinges in the book. We're just going to lay that right next to it, bring it over, and then we can line it up to make sure it's straight. And that looks pretty straight. So very easy. And we'll grab our next one and do the same thing. And wipe it up any glue I might see there. And then the last one is the one with the writing. And we will place that. All right, if you are using die trim for this one right here, what you're going to want to do is place this down, and you'll notice that on this particular trim, you will see that there is a spacing in between this and there. That's a great place to cut it off if it fits, and I think it does fit there. So I'm just going to maneuver that till that's kind of in the middle, and it looks like I will have enough room, and I'm just going to put a pencil line on either side where I need to be. So as you can see, if you're using this, when we cut, we'll have it on the white in between, just about there. I'm going to cut mine really quick. And that way your ends aren't open with dye. So I'm going to erase the pencil marks and see how that fits. And that looks to be a good fit here for me. If I need to trim it down, maybe just a little bit. I'll probably take a little off each side. If you're working with a die that has open where your trim is open, meaning there's nothing here, it kind of looks like it's cut off a bit, you can always cut little pieces of white cardstock, then maybe an 1/8 inch wide, and stick it back behind on the sides to close up any open cuts. And I think I'm pretty good right here. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper so I don't get glue everywhere. But I'm just going to do the same thing, getting this down and where to place that. Okay, looks pretty good. And these will settle down, plus we have a strap, magnetic straps. The next one is this bottom flip. Now, depending on our die, whether or not this is going to fit right, we're going to have to look. But I think we'll be able to maneuver it, and it may go off the page just a little bit, but I believe we have enough room on that. And our flap is at the top, peek up, and we'll get this down. And this one should fit pretty good if you're using the same one as me. And what I did was that top little diamond, you could see the white through it. It is just straight across. I think we'll do it like that. And then our paper will come down. It'll look good. All right. Thank you for your patience, those who are not die cutting. So for this, you can eyeball this because it's safe to do so. I'm just going to have it to where I'm even side to side. I've got, let's see, I've got maybe, I think that's about spacing wise. I'm about 3/8 from that one. And I just want to get this straight. And I am going off the page just a little bit, and that is okay. As far as when those of us that have the die cut, when we do our strap, we will do it to where it doesn't hurt this. Okay? So you'll follow along with me on that. So that looks pretty good. Looks really nice. Okay, let's start with the large strap. And we're just going to fold on that. We're going to give that just a little bend too here, but we're just going to hook that back behind evenly, as you can see, so that it falls evenly in the middle of this panel. And that looks pretty straight to me. So then I'm just going to glue that down. I'm going to straighten that up a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, now for this one. Now those of you that are not using die cuts, you will do the same thing. You'll put it on there. Now if you're using a die cut, what's going to happen is we have that tip coming down. So we'll use that as a guide for what this will come up to. So I'm going to show you if you're using the die cut and it goes over. Our little score line is going to be below that tip, okay, when we do that. So I can see right now, I'm going to put a pencil line where my glue needs to fall. And my glue is going to be up here. And that's plenty enough to grab on. So now I'm just going to do that. But if you're not using die cuts, you don't have to do that. So we just want to try and get that in the middle there. Get it on as straight as we can. And that looks pretty good. And I'll burnish from that side. So now, and we can give this one a bend too. Now we can grab some magnets. So we'll need a couple plus, a couple magnets. And we'll start with this. Where is my tool? Okay, down here, what we're going to do is we're going to come up, I would say come up to about 1 inch for the top and in between. Then take your minus and just set it right on top there. So now what we do in order to get a perfect fit where that magnet needs to fall is once we have the mate there, we just press over and it will go where it's supposed to. Now to get this off, because we're cardstock on cardstock and we don't have a layer of our decorative paper down on that or the underside of this, it's going to be real tough and your magnets can pull back off. So I recommend just tugging off to the right a little and lifting and it will release. I think I said that earlier in the video. Okay, this one. And then we will get all our paper. Come in about a good inch in between. Then we will take the other one, place it on top, and we'll do the same thing. So one thing you might want to do is place your hand down because your paper probably wants to curl up from the weight and the stiffness of this. Just make sure this is flat. You gave a little bend and you can let it come over and press. And same thing, to get it unlifted, you just tug a little to the side and it'll come up for you. So this is what it looks like. All right, let's get our paper. In your reserves, you will find this. It's the perfect piece here for what we want to do. And it is about 6 inches wide, 12 inches long. The first thing that I would like you to do is to measure over 5 3/4 and cut. After making that cut, you'll have one of these long skinny pieces. We'll just put that in our reserves. We'll turn it like this. Measure over 3 3/4 and cut. We're going to open that one up. This one here should fit perfectly in there, giving us a white border around there. We're going to glue that down. Get around that. Let's make sure I get glue. We'll just center it in there. Okay, now this next cut, we're going to have to do a couple cuts. We're going to measure over 4 inches and cut. Okay, this is the piece that we got, but we do need to cut it down just a little bit in order for it to fit perfectly in there. Measure over 5 1/4 and cut. Now this piece should be able to fit right in there, giving us a nice white border, and it does. So let's apply. We're going to find some strips for the inside of here. In your reserves, you will find this long strip. It's about 12 inches. And it is about 1 3/8. And what we're going to do is just trim this down just a little bit. We're going to measure over 1 1/4 and cut. And that's going to cut just a sliver off there for us. Alright, so after doing that, that's going to give us to where we can still get our white border around there. Let's make some cuts. First one, and we're going to do two cuts. We're going to measure over 2.5 inches and cut. We'll measure over again 2.5 inches and cut. And we'll keep that handy. So what we're going to end up doing is using these for like right in here and on the outside. Let's get these down. Doesn't matter which one you use for what. You just want to make sure you get around the edges of the magnet there. And make sure you do not get on your score line. So there should be a border around this. That looks pretty good. I'll flip this up and I'll glue this one there. Now we can always use that side too. That's really pretty, but I'm going to use the one with a little more color because we have other things to do. Yeah, I'll do it that way with a little blue up there. It doesn't matter though, really. Okay, let's get for this side. Measure over 4 inches and cut. Okay, the other part isn't going to be big enough for the other side, but let's see if this fits. Giving us a little bit of white border and not getting on that. I think that works. And again, you can use any side you want. Maybe I'll use the lighter on the inside. There we go. One more to go. Okay, in your reserves you will have this piece. Very pretty. So first thing I want us to do is turn it like this, measure over 1 1/4 and cut. So here's the thing, we're going to get the word beautiful in there and moments is going to get cut off, but we're going to measure over 4 inches and cut. Let's apply glue, or you can use that side if you'd rather, but I'm going to have that there. At least some of the word will show by the time we're done. Okay, let's open that up. We're just going to put 1/2 inch strips of paper. We're not going to do anything on the other side. I don't think it needs it. In your reserves, you will find this piece. On the back, it looks like this. Well, first off, I'm going to give you a measurement. It might be helpful. This is about 2 3/8 by about 6 inches. We're going to measure over 4 inches and cut. Hi, Sissy. You got your snout there in the picture, don't you? You come to see what we're doing? Coming to say hi? So what we're going to do here is we're going to measure over 1/2 inch and cut. We'll measure over 1/2 inch, cut, and measure over again 1/2 inch. So you're going to have 3 1/2 inch cuts by 4 inches. Alrighty, so we have 3 here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to apply glue. We'll glue each one down on the edges. So it'll look like this, this, and then one more under on the back one. Just like that. So let's get that going. You can always alternate. Like for instance, we can have the blue one like that. We can flip over and have one with the flowers. And have one like that. And that would look really good too. So it's up to you. I think I'll do it that way. There's no right or wrong way here. We're just trying to use up some strips. And I am leaving a little bit of a white lip over here, and then of course top and bottom. Alright, we're not going to do anything on the back side. I really don't think it's necessary. But that is one side. Let's get for here. Now, we have this left over. It's in our reserves. It looks like this and like this on the back side. What we're going to first do is measure over 6 inches and cut. Now we can just go ahead and place that just like that. I don't think I'm going to cut it down. Just going to place it. And make sure you don't get on your score line. We'll just do that. Covers up that. Looks good. Okay, finishing touches here. All right, let's give this a try and see how we like it. You don't have to. You can be completely done right now. But you see this actually goes all the way over. Just cut that out. Come here, sis. She's down under my feet now. Okay. This little thing I'm just going to set up to the side. Don't know if I'm going to use that. This little corner piece I'll set off to the side as well. I don't need that right now. Okay, I am going to cut around this. And because it looks like it's real intricate, I'm not going to be real fussy with my cutting. That's going to be quite a bit. So I'm going to get my other scissors out. But I'm going to show you what mine looks like first. And then what we'll be doing is putting it down to some white cardstock to stiffen it up. Because in the end, I believe we're going to stick her right here. So let's do this really quick. Okay, so this is how I ended up doing mine. I did not cut in under her dress. I left that as one piece because when we're done, we want to keep her pretty sturdy so that her little part, if we were to cut in through here, this would be too floppy. I think it might catch on something. So, and we might place her down here, but I think I want to place her up here. But that is the image. I'm going to hold her here for just a moment so you can kind of see what I did. Same thing with the back part. I just kind of came and weaved over here rather than cut in. Her hair as well. Okay. Now, all I'm going to do is get some white cardstock, see what I got going here that will fit her. I'm going to glue it down and I'm going to cut out and around it, just like we have been. I have mine all cut out. Okay, so I've decided exactly where I wanted to put this. Here's this. And we want to put it up here, and we're going to have to keep it so that this does not interfere with this, meaning when this opens, it doesn't catch, because you don't want to have someone try to open it from the bottom and ruin your piece. So we're going to place this up higher, and you can drag down a little bit, and we're just going to place it right over here. And I'm just going to place a bunch of glue to start. I'm going to put a, whoops, something's going on out there, scratch piece, and I'm going to look to make sure I don't go too far. Take a look here, and then I'll wipe up any glue that's unneeded. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, but I do want to check the back side. In your reserves, you will have this. It's a cutoff from the bottom of our stuff. On this side, it looks like this. See Magic Winter? We're going to cut that out. This piece here, I'll just put back in my reserves in case I need something there. So that's it. That's all we're doing. And we're going to glue that down right there. Just gives her a little more interest. And, you know, down here, I think I'm fine with how that looks. I don't think we need to overdo it. Okay, page 3 is complete. Let's flip that over. Score tape around the outside like a picture frame. One down the middle, and we're going to do one on each side, and then we can always add in our glue. And I will meet you at the book. All right, I've got the score tape backing off the back. I am going to put a little glue. One thing is there are magnets on the other side. So this, your page may want to, because we have magnets on this, shift on you. So do use the glue feature down at the bottom or top, whichever way you lay first. And you're going to come in 1/4 inch from the side and try to get. All right, got it down. So I'm going to open this up and start burnishing. Oh, one thing is look, we have that. fix that really quick while we have this, since we did this one. Okay, so we have white in between here. I'm not going to sweat it, but I do want to fix this. Very easy. In our reserves, we have a long skinny strip like this. It is about 10.5 inches, and it's about a 1/2 inch. So all we need to do is just place this down. I'm going to hand do mine really quick. And I'm going to glue that down. This piece will go back into our reserves. So it's about a 4 1/4. Make sure no glue seeped out on me. Page 3 is complete. We are now moving on to page 4. We're on page 4. If you're die cutting, die cut 2 of these. These are the heartfelt ones. Let's go over our pre-cuts. We have a few here. We cut a 7 by 8 inch. We called it a fold out. We laid this on our scoring board, and we're 7 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. We then had a 2.5 by 7 inch. We called this a pocket. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 2.5 inches across, and we scored it at a 1/2 inch. We then turned it. We are 7 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 and 6.5. Last one, we had a 4 3/4 by 6 inch. We called it an FO flip. That's our fold out flip. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 4 3/4 across. We scored it at a 1/2 and 5/8. One thing you will notice is usually in my tutorials, part 1 usually goes pretty slow because we do have beginners, people that are just starting to make their mini albums, and I do have to be very detailed and show things repetitively so that they get the hang of things. Right now you probably know how to do pockets, so I don't have to go through the detail of all that when we do it. And you know what to expect from me when we're cutting and all that. So here we go. We're going to grab our base decorative sheet. In your paper pack, you have this sheet, and on the back is this beautiful print. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure over 8 1/8 and cut. So with that cut, we still have some of her, but we also have some area here that we can use for picture placement and not lose her. So we're going to turn it this way. We're going to measure over 9 7/8 and cut. And we'll stick that in our reserves. So the first thing we're going to start off with is our 7 by 8 fold out. And we're going to fold on both of those score lines. And once again, I'm looking for my white tool. There it is. It's my favorite one for creasing. Okay, our hinge is going to be off to the right on this. We have an inside score line and an outside. On the outside one, we're going to pinch and crease. You will still be able to see your other score line. For this one, we are just going to place this centered top to bottom, wrap it around the back. We'll hold it in place, and then we're going to glue this little flap down. Okay, now that we have that, we can open it up, check for glue, and then we can fold back on that other one and push in so that it makes our spacing. Now for this, if you are die cutting, what we're going to do is we're going to glue that down right here, centered. And it should not interfere with our other page as far as hanging up on our cut apart that we did. So we'll just do the best we can here. Get that on. And I'm going to make sure I don't have any glue seeping out there. Okay, we're going to open this up and find our sheet for this. In your paper pack, you will have this beautiful print. And we're going to use this. We're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. We're going to use the left-hand side one. This one we'll put in our reserves. We're going to turn it like this. We're going to measure over 7 3/4 and cut. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're not going to quite glue this down yet. Let's grab our FO flip and we're going to fold on those square lines. And we're just going to attach here. Now when we place this on here, we're going to do it just a little different than what we normally do. But we're just going to place this over the top. And definitely make sure you are straight with the side, your left side. And we're going to glue this down. And we'll press back. And we have that. Next, let's grab our pockets. Let's cut out those little squares in the corner. And then we're going to fold on our score lines and assemble this like we have been by gluing the back flaps together. Same thing. Once you have that done, let's apply glue to this. And we're going to set this. We're going to come all the way down to the bottom and glue that. And I think I'm pretty straight there. If you are die cutting, you should have another one of these, and we are going to center that side to side, and we're going to glue that down. All right, let's get something for this. In your reserves, you will have this print. And I'm going to give you a quick measurement of what this is so it can help you. But on the back side, it's going to look like this, and this is going to be perfect. This is about 2 1/8 by 8 1/8. So we'll first start this way. Measure over 1 7/8 and cut. This little piece put in your reserves, we may have to use that. Measure over 6 inch and cut. Let's apply glue and glue that down. Now if you'd rather have this side, you can do that. It's totally up to you. And you should have a little white lip there. Alright, let's flip that up, and we're going to get for in here. In your reserves, you should have this piece on the back. It is this. This is about 4 1/4 by 6 inch. And it looks like this on the back. And this is what we want. We're going to need to take off a sliver over here. So measure over 5 7/8 and cut. Let's see if that's going to fit side to side. Yep, it does. So the next thing we're going to do is turn it like this. Measure over 3 7/8 and cut. Before putting glue on here, now you can use it like this if you prefer, where the tree is up there, but I'm going to use it like a trim up there, and I'm going to glue it down just like that. So it is up to you completely how you want to use this piece. And this is a great place for a landscape photo or a small photo. Just putting up right. So we'll just center that on in there. Okay, let's fold that down, and we're going to get for right here. In your reserves, you should have this long cutting. It is the one that came off this side. So we're about 12 inches by about 3 7/8. So we'll flip it around to where sweet time is over to the left. Measure over 5 7/8 and cut. We're going to apply glue. Now if you'd rather have that, you can. But we're going to apply glue, center it on in there, just like that. Okay, I'm going to push that back now. So this is what we should have for our inside. So here's the trick on this. We want to stay away from that outside score line. We are going to scoot this all the way over to the right to match up with the white of our cardstock. I think I'm just going to use glue for this so it's easier for me to maneuver, and I think it's fine just to use glue on some of these inside panels. But by pushing it all the way over, it will give us enough clearance away from that. So all the way over, and since we have some white trim here, it looks good. All right, I think I'm in the right spot. So now I'm just gonna burnish. And you should be able to close, and it should look nice. Remember this long strip I said we might use? Well, I think I'd like to use it. Let's measure over 5 7/8 and cut. Let's apply glue and glue that down for a little trim. Perfect. That looks really nice. Let's close that up, and we're going to find our paper for here. And we have this in our reserves. This looks like this. We have the bird down here. Measure over 7 3/4 and cut. This should fit in here perfectly for us, and I think it'll look really nice. Let's do that. And then we can add anything that we would like to add. Now for this particular page, I did not add a magnet yet, and we will be, but let's get this going. So we're just going to make sure that we have a white border. And I'm going to open this up. It's easier for me to burnish. Okay, the just is going to get covered up here, so we will place it there, and then it will get a good latch. So grab a plus. We'll stick it down right there. We'll grab the minus, and we're going to close this and make sure that we are straight, that we have our proper spacing. Flip it over, and it should find the mate right there, and we'll squirt some glue. So we're going to let that grab, and we're going to get something to cover that. Now I thought that this might work perfect, this little flower. So I am going to cut this out. This is one of the ones that came off from the other, and I said I was just going to set that to the side. Well, that's what I'm going to do. And we're not going to back this. I don't think we need to. We just need to cut this out. If it's not enough to cover the magnet or it looks funny, then we'll do something else. But I think this is good. It covers up the word just. That's just kind of sitting there floating around. Let's see. Yeah, I think it'll be just fine. We just want to make sure that we get glue at the tips here, that this is thoroughly covered with some adhesive, so we can tack it down a bit. And we'll push down around that magnet. All right. That looks good. Actually, so I want to put something over here, and I really think I'd like to use one of these cut-aparts. I actually like that a lot. Let's go after this one. Now on this particular thing, we're going to make it so it is a tuck. So once we cut out and around this, we're going to mount it to some white cardstock to give it a little more strength. So let's cut this out, then we're going to mount it to white cardstock, and we're going to cut out and around, leaving about a 1/16 of white border around it. And that should help separate from the background of that paper. So here's mine. And I think I just want to put it right here. So I'm going to put glue so that I can still tuck behind. So I'll rotate this around, and I think I'm going to put a little glue right here. And then once we place this in the book, I'm going to check to make sure it does not snag on anything. And if it does, then I'll tack down a little more over here, wherever's needed. Okay, page 4 is complete. I think it looks wonderful. Score tape around the outside like a picture frame. One down the middle, and I think one on either side, so long as we squirt some glue in between, will be good. And don't forget to remove the backing off your magnet. I will meet you at the book. All right, we're ready for page 4, and we're going to come in 1/4 inch. And I have some pencil marks over here. 1/4 inch from the side, and we're going to place this. And we'll just open that up and burnish. Be careful of where your magnet is. So this is really nice. Let me find something here. Let's say this was a picture mat or something. Fits nicely back underneath. And I think it looks really good. I hope you like it too. We are now moving on to page 5. We're on page 5 and 6, and we complete them together because both the base decorated pages are going to be cut the same. And page 6 has no pre-cuts. Page 5 does, and we're going to go over those. So if you are die cutting, cut 2 of these, and you are going to cut it down to where it only leaves maybe 1/8 inch from your trim. And I'll explain why and what we need to do with that later. But that's all you need to do. Pre-cuts. Now I've already cut out my squares, but these are our pockets, and what we did was we laid this, and these are 4x6 side pockets, and what we did was we laid this on our scoring board, so we were 4 inches across, and we scored at 1/2 inch. We then turned it, we are 6 inches across, we scored at 1/2 inch and 5.5 inches on both of these. And since these are pockets and we've done these before, you can go ahead and cut out the squares on the side, and then we can fold and assemble our pockets and get those ready. If you need to pause the video, do so. I've got both my pockets ready to go. I'm going to stick those off to the side. In our paper pack, we have 2 of these, and I'm going to be doubling them up. So we have both of these doubled up. All we're going to do is turn this upside down because I want to get the full image here. We're going to measure over 8 1/8 and cut. And that should leave it so that we don't cut off any of him. So let's do that really quick. These pieces over here we'll put in our reserves. Next, while we still have them doubled up, measure over 9 7/8 and cut. This is our page 6. That's our page 5. So let's put this one off to the side. Let's grab one of our pockets, and the opening is going to be here. We're going to glue this down. This page is very quick. It does not take much time. And when we do that, we're going to bring it all the way up to the top corner. The next one, the opening, is here, and we're going to place it like that. If you'd like to pucker these up a little bit, you can. Whoops. You can. I think that one's set a little bit, but if you'd like to pucker them up a little bit, you can. All right, we're going to get our paper for this. In your reserves, let's grab this. Measure over 3 3/8 and cut. So we just took a little bit off the side. We're going to do 2 cuts. Measure over 5 inches and cut. Measure over again 5 inches and cut. All right, we'll put the Once Upon a Time right here, and we will put this one right there. Bring it over. Okay, die cutters, we're going to have to trim this down, but we're going to be placing that like right in the center there. So I'm going to grab my pencil, if I can find it. Come here, you. And I think right about there. So I'm just going to make a pencil mark where I think it needs to be, and then I can cut both of them at the same time. Kind of get them squared up there. I think I'll just try to hand cut it. see how that works. And since I've already got white up here, I can bring it all the way to the edge, because there's my white trim. And I think Once Upon a Time's still going to show up for us okay. Yeah, it does. On our cut apart sheet, let's grab the heart, and we do not need to back this. And I'm going to put that right here. Alright, on this sheet, I'm going to cut out and around him. And I am going to weave around him, and we do not need to back him, so it'll be easy. I'm going to show you mine. And I'm just going to stick him down, I think, right there. Or we can put him up here. Actually, up here looks pretty cute. Kind of like that. I think we're going to go up here with it. I think that's going to balance it out from the other page. This page is complete, and also in this tutorial we'll be doing some folders together. Whoop, somebody's here. Flip this over. We're going to do score tape around the outside, one down the middle, one on either side, and we're going to place that in our book. Page 6, we're also going to, now don't get messed up, we want to put score tape on this side. Same thing, around the outside, one down the middle, one on either side. Alright, let's move on to page 5. We're going to stay a 1/4 inch away, like we have been, and place. Page 6, we're going to do the same thing, move in a 1/4 inch, and we will place that. And that looks awesome. I like it. We are now moving on to page 7. We're on page 7, and we have some pre-cuts. Now, some of them were optional if you wanted to do the folders with me, but first we had a 4 5/8 by 9 1/8 large pocket, and what we did was we put this on our scoring board. We are 4 5/8 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch. Then we turned it, so now we are 9 1/8, and we scored at a 1/2 and 8 5/8. And then what we did was 4 pieces that are identical. And again, these were optional if you wanted to do the folders with me. And they were 5 3/4 by 9 1/4. And on each one, we laid this on our scoring board to where we were 9 1/4 across. And we scored each at 4 5/8 on each one. All right, let's go and get our main decorative paper. And in your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous sheet. And on the back, it is this. And this is what we are going to use. We're going to first measure over 8 1/8 and cut. We'll place this one in our reserves. The next thing is we're going to turn it sideways, measure over 9 7/8 and cut. This is our base decorative sheet, and we are going to grab our large pocket. We're going to cut out the squares. We're going to fold on our score lines and assemble this just like we would with our regular pockets. So let's do that really quick. If you are die cutting, you'll just need one of these. That's all we're going to do. We'll center that in the middle and we'll glue that down. The opening is here. Alright, let's find our decorative paper. In your reserves, you will have the other half to our main paper. It is this. We're going to turn it this way, so Sweet Time is over here. We're going to measure over 8 1/8 and cut. This should fit there pretty good if we place that side to side, and we'll leave a little bit of white at the bottom and a white lip at the top. We'll use this. Actually, I'm going to turn it this way, I think. let's put this together here now. Get this on our page. I'll just push that in just a little bit. Puckers it up a little. In your reserves, you will have this piece here on the back. It looks like this. We're going to cut out the reindeer. That's my favorite piece of all, this whole paper collection. And we're just going to create a little tuck with this. Let's cut out and around this. Then we're going to mount this to some white cardstock, and we will cut out and around that. And we'll leave about a 1/16 of white border, and that will stiffen it up. So here's mine, and what I'm going to do is just kind of set this up at an angle. So I'm only going to put glue underneath here and just a little up the side. So I'm just going to rotate that around, and it would be this side, and I'll come up maybe 1/4 of the way. And I don't want it to stick off too far, just a little bit, maybe no more than 1/8. We'll do that at an angle. That looks good. Let's turn this over. We're going to put score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, one on either side, and we're going to place this in our book, and then we'll work on the folders together. Okay, here's page 7. We're going to come in 1/4 of an inch away, and we'll place this. Now this is the back page where we have that extra spacing, and I think you're really going to like page 8 when we get to that. So let's set this off to the side, and let's get our little folders. Now on the pre-cutting guide, it did say that these were optional if you wanted to do these with me. So all we're going to do now is just fold on those score lines. And these are a little extra wide. Now, you can do more folders if you like at the end of the tutorial, but this is just something I wanted to show you. So right off the bat here, we have this in our paper pack. Let's go ahead and just put this on our paper cutter and divide up all of these. And I'll show you mine. So I've divided and I cut around them. Do know that some of these do have a gray border that you're going to want to keep. And out of these, choose 4. And of course I'm going to choose my reindeer. Very hard to choose which ones I really want to do. They're all so great. I'll choose that one. Oh boy. I think I'll choose that one. And I think, oh, I love these. So I'm going to have to make some more folders, obviously. I'll choose these 4 for now. And of course I'm going to make a couple more folders to use those. I found these 2 pieces. We're going to start off with this. On one side it's this, and on the other is this. They are pretty much identical. The first thing that we're going to do is we'll just double these up. We're going to measure over 5.5 inches and cut. Now that we have that, what we're going to do is we'll double these up so we can take care of some cuts all together. We're going to measure over 3/4 and cut. We'll measure over again 3/4 and cut. So when you're done, these were the leftovers, and I'm going to leave these off to the side with my 2 panels because I can do that, use those for that. We're going to use these 4. We'll grab this one, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. Now notice when you put this down, this is much too big. That's why we got those. So I'm going to kind of shimmy this over. The opening is here, and kind of leave myself some white border here and here, and then one of these get placed here. And we're going to glue that down, and you'll never know that these were spliced together. So there's our first one. Let's grab another. Here's that. And I think I'm going to, you can use any color, any side. I'm going to grab one of these. And I'm going to glue this one down just like that. Very pretty. I'm going to grab this one. And I'm going to look to see that looks good and that looks good. I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to make sure that when I place this down it's pretty even side to side. So this one we're going to glue down like that. And our last one, I chose this, and you can arrange these any way you want. And then of course this goes down here. So I'm going to glue all mine down just as I showed you, and then we'll place some of these in our pockets in our book. If you'd rather have something like that, that would look good too. So it's up to you. It's really just a matter of your taste and what you want. Let's just throw some of these in. I'm going to go to the very back, and I think I'm going to use this one back here. Now inside we're not placing the decorative paper because we're conserving. I do want some left over so I can do some matting and whatever else I want to do. And if you want, you can always use solid colored cardstock. For me, I think I'm just going to leave these white. Here's a photograph so you can see the size. They look good, and you can get 2 on in there. This one, I cut off the white around the edges. So this is about a 3.5 by about 4 5/8, and that fits in there nicely. And I can even shuffle that up so I can journal or just put something like that in there. So these are good size folders. I'm going to stick one here. Now you can also use the tuck. What else do we got going on here? This one might be too wide. Nope, it will fit in there. But I think I want to use this one. So these are a good size pockets we got going in there. I'm just placing them in places, guys. Oh, we got that. Place that right there. And here is our reindeer. So this is the large pocket. You can slip it in that way, or you can actually slide it in like that. That looks good. All right. We are now moving on to page 8. We are on page 8, our final page, and we have some pre-cuts here. So let's review those. We had 2 pieces that we cut that were 2.5 by 5 3/4. We called these supports. On each one of these, what we did was we laid this on our scoring board. We are 2.5 inches across. We scored at 1/2, 1 inch, 1.5, and 2 inches on each one of these. Next, we cut a 3 5/8 by 5 5/8, and we called it a mat. There's no scoring. We had a 6 by 8.5, and we called it our book base. And we placed this on our scoring board. We are 8.5 inches across. We scored it at 4 and 4.5. Then we cut 8 pieces that were 4 1/4 by 5 3/4, and these are our book pages. Now on each one of these, what we did was we laid these on our scoring board. So we are 4 1/4 across, and we scored each at 1/2 inch. And we only labeled one of them. Only one needed to be labeled. Last pre-cut we had was a 1, let me get that into focus there, 1 3/8 by 2 inch, and we called it a book strap. We placed this on our scoring board. We are 2 inches across. We scored it at 1/2 and 3/4. Let's get our main page, decorative page, and we'll begin. So on this, grab your pencil. What you're going to want to do is, you see where her sleeve is right here, right here. We're going to place this on our paper cutter, and we're going to cut all the way down because I want to get this centered to where it looks good. by the time we're done. So there is my pencil mark. It's right by her sleeve, and we are going to cut. This we are going to put in our reserves. Next, we're going to flip this around. She's upside down. Measure over 8 1/8 and cut. 8 1/8. And we will place this in our reserves. After doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to cut off this little trim piece. So I'm going to show you. I'm just going to cut right on that black little line, like that. Now I'm going to hold it like this. So I've got that off there. Measure over 9 7/8 and cut. 9 7/8. This piece, place in your reserves. Here's our base decorative sheet. I'm just going to set that off to the side. The first thing I would like us to work on is our supports. And as you can see, I've already started folding, and you're just going to keep folding in one direction, and you're going to use your tool as you go. So there's one. Now this one I am going to erase what I can here. We do put some cardstock down on this, but I'm just going to erase it. And you just fold in one direction. Alright, I'm going to find our paper for the you see in here we have 3 panels. We have 2 outside panels, and then we have 1, 2, 3 in there. Those 3 on each one of these are going to get some paper on it. So I'm going to go in our reserves and take a look at what I can find. In your reserves you will have this piece. Looks like this, and it's from the cuttings off of this, I believe. This piece is approximately 8 1/8, and it is about 1 3/4. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure over 5 5/8 and cut. So on this piece we're going to measure over 3/8 and cut. We'll measure over 3/8, cut, and one more time, 3/8 and cut. So our final pieces will be, we're going to have 3/8 by 5 5/8. So I have all 3 of those. We're going to grab at some more paper. In your reserves you will have this long piece. It's still the cutting from this. And the first thing that I want us to do is chop off this trim piece here. So that's what I did. Chop that right off. Now let's turn it. The trim is up here. Measure over 5 5/8 and cut. What we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to measure over 3/8 cut, measure over 3/8 cut, and we can measure over again 3/8 and cut, even though it's on this, because you probably ain't going to see one of the panels. So let's do that. We'll end up with 3 pieces that are 3/8 by 5 5/8. So I have all 3 of mine. This one's a little questionable about how wide that is, but that's okay. So we're going to grab one of these, and we're going to glue it to the very center. And we're going to take one of these, and we're going to glue it to the center panel of this one. And we're going to leave white border top and bottom. So let's get those down first. Now this is a page where you can use some bulkier flowers, and I am going to. It's totally up to you. You don't have to, but I will be using some flowers on this page. Okay, we have a couple of these. We're going to go to the right. We'll place one here, and we'll place one right here. So let's get those down. Okay, so we have those 2. This panel right here, we'll put one here, and we'll put one here. And we'll turn these around to where they look good. So it doesn't matter. Okay, now for assembly. What we're going to do is we are going to bring this around, tuck it in over here, and we're going to glue that. So this now becomes a square. Okay, so let's do that. You want to try to keep it in a square type of thing. Just make sure it's down. So the back side will have white. And we're going to do the same thing with this one. Just tuck this edge right there into the crease and make sure it kind of keeps its square shape. Okay, once you have those, you can set these off to the side. Let's start with the book base. So all we're going to do is fold on the score lines and use our tool. And then we'll push that back. So what happens is it's going to look like this. Our opening is going to be off to the right. So really quick, what I would like you to do is just rotate this to where we're looking at the back. So the opening would be there. We're going to get into our other set of magnets, and we're going to set one for right now. We'll just grab a plus or something. And we're going to place that right in the center of the back. We won't worry about the other one just yet. So here's the front, there's the back. I think I would like to get this decorated first, so that way we can keep straight with which way we're going with it. So, you know I'm going to get after this. You just know it. I love that reindeer. So we're going to place this on our paper cutter, and we're going to cut over and down on this one. And once you get that out, go ahead and cut out and around it. We have a mat, and I believe this will just fit, giving us a little bit. It should. I am going to trim down. The idea of this mat is to give a white border around it. So mine is pretty tight fitting. I do need to trim this. So I am going to take about 1/8 inch off this side and 1/8 of an inch off this side. Just trim it down a little. And now I'm going to try and see how that fits. And that fits much better, as you can see. So this is our mat, and we're going to glue this down. Sometimes you just got to trim things to fit the way you want it. So and I'm just centering it in there. Now I'm going to find our paper for here, because if you notice, this piece is going to have a really big white background, and I think I want to put a little color. In your reserves, you will find this print. It's beautiful. And I want the blue. Now, if you have any of that adhesive from the bookbinding in our paper pack, let's trim that off. I do. So I maybe took a 1/16 off to get a nice clean edge. So you'll notice we have some darker here and some lighter. We're going to start over here. Measure over 5 7/8 and cut. This piece, let's see, here's our front. If we were to lay that down, that should give us just a little bit of a white border all the way around, and that's what we want. So I'm going to get this down. Once I have it in place, I think I'll open this up. It'll be easier for me. So just a little bit of a white border around there. Okay, I got this down. I'm about ready to get this, but we want to get our strap. So let's grab our book strap, because we're going to need to place a magnet over here, and then this will go on top. So we're just going to, oh, I got glue all over me. Fold on those score lines. Now the smaller side of the flap is the one that gets wrapped to the back. So for this to be more accurate, here's the smaller side. I'm just going to put a little glue here. I'll open that up. Here's the front, here's the back, and I'm just going to place that in the middle like this somewhere. Just like that. So you can see it's on the back. Let's grab a plus and a minus. So we have that open. We're going to grab plus, and we're just going to bring it on in there in the middle of this little square. Okay. Oops, there goes the other one. Now, you're going to shut this, and notice you have a score line up here. That score line pretty much is going to meet the edge here. So that's how you know where it's supposed to be. So let's place this other one there, and we'll just do the best we can and go slow. So I got that there. I'm going to make sure that this hits the crease of here. Make sure I'm flat, and I'll press. So there's that. Now it's time to add glue to this, and we're going to go right on over, and that'll give us a beautiful blue trim around that. That'll look good. I'm going to make sure I get around that. I think I'll open this up now to make my life easier. So let's check it out. This should latch for us. Let's get our paper for the strap. In your reserves, you'll find a small little piece. Any small little piece like this will work. This is like 1 3/4 by about 2 1/2. Measure over 1 1/4 and cut if you can find this piece. And I believe that we'll be able to get both squares possibly out of this. Yes. Measure over 1 1/8 and cut. Measure over again 1 1/8 and cut. So we've got 2 small little pieces here. And this should fit right on over that, and it does. I'm going to get this down. Now, because this is real sketchy, this is a small area, I'm going to make sure I get a glue around that. So this will fit one way, and you don't want it on your hinge, but it should fit right on in there. I'm giving you a little border. Sketchy because you got to get real clever about getting that glue down around that magnet. So I like to use my tool. And then this one. All right, on this, you'll get this in your reserves. See this flower here? We're going to cut this one out. We'll see if that works to go over the little decoration there. I think that might look good. So we're not going to back this with anything. We're just going to place this down. And this is a good one because we can actually maneuver it if we need to make it smaller by just cutting around the edges there if needed. So I'm going to give this a shot, and I think that looks good right like that. We'll put that there. Just don't go over the edge. If you are over the edge, you can snip it off. All right, there is our book base. The next part is very easy. So we have 8 of these 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. You can go ahead and erase if you would like. We only labeled 1. Now let's go ahead and fold on those score lines and make sure that we give a good crease with our tool. Okay, we're going to separate these out. We're going to grab 4 and set them off to the side. And then we have another 4 here. So open this up, and we're going to turn it like this. So the strap is up there. It's going to make it much easier for us. So the peak is up. What we're going to do is we're going to add glue. You see where our bottom score line is? We're going to come about 1/16 of an inch away. We will center that side to side. Make sure it's straight, and we will place it. I'm doing the best I can here. It's kind of hard to see, but I think it's easier to turn it like this. Okay, next one. What we're going to do is we're going to apply glue, and we're going to go right on top of that, line it exactly up with that one, and place it on top. So it's going to look like that when you open it up. Okay, we're going to keep going with this. We have this one and another one for this side. And we're just going to go right over the top and try to line up with the other ones. And definitely wipe up any glue that might want to seep out, because your pages will end up sticking together. Okay, last one for this side. And I'm trying to line myself up with my pages down here too to help me get this on straight. Okay, so there's the first side. So we have a ton of places. So now we're just going to rotate this, so now our latch or our strap is down here. And we're going to take these. We'll apply glue to our first one. Here's this score line. Will be about a 1/16, and we will center that side to side so it's right in line with these other ones. And then, of course, in between there is our spacing. We will be placing decorative paper on the inside covers. Let's just continue. We're going to do the same thing. Glue, and it goes on top. Glue, it goes on top. Glue, and it goes on top. All right, so this is what we look like. Open it up, and we have lots of places for photographs. Here's the other side. Now you may even be able to stick another one on this side and this side if you want it. But I do want to place decorative paper on the inside cover, the back cover, and right in there in between. So we're going to begin. In your reserves you will find this big long strip. It's about 12 inches wide, and it has joy, happiness over here. We're going to cut this down a little bit. So we'll look at it like this. Measure over 3 5/8 and cut. Once you've done that, we'll turn it. We're going to make 2 cuts. Measure over 5 3/4 and cut. Measure over again 5 3/4 and cut. And this is what you should have. Now you can do it this way if you'd like, or this way. I'm going to be placing this down right like that. And then of course we're going to get something for the inside spine area where the spacing is. So here's my inside cover, and I'm just going to center that top and bottom side to side without getting on the score line there. Oh, I am lost for words today. Okay, I'm going to flip to the back, and I'm going to place this one. Okay, let's find the center. And I saw something that I really liked. We should have a trim piece like this. And you'll want to shuffle around and look for it, or you can use something else. But on the back it looks like this, and on the front is this. This is about a 1/2 inch wide, and I think we can shimmy that. Well, is it quite a 1/2 inch? We might have to shave it down a little. So what we're going to do with this, let's just start off this way. Measure over 5 3/4 and cut. So the biggest thing is we might have to take maybe a 1/16 off the side of this, but it should sit without getting on your score lines and right in between. I am going to take a 1/16 off because it's too close to my inner score lines. So now I should be able to fit, and I do, comfortably in between those score lines. And I am just going to glue this down. So at the end of the tutorial, if you wanted to do something like on these pages in here, you could, but I'm just going to leave mine white. Okay, this is where we are going to place this right dead center. Grab one of your minuses, and this is where you're going to need to hold on to your book. So once you have it dead center, grab a hold of it. do the best you can and put a little glue. Now you want it dead center because we have those supports. Now getting it back up carefully while that dries. The supports, one's here, and what that is for is in the this can get heavy and we don't want it to slide out of the book, and it's something just different I wanted to do. So with one of your supports, grab this. Now that you have this where it needs to be, we're going to put glue on the side that's white. Now on the print that's different kind of than this and this, that's going to be facing towards me, the white down. So now I'm just going to place that gently up underneath so it has a ledge. If you have something to get down in there to kind of help that glue touch base with the paper down there, just kind of stick something in there and kind of burnish as best you can. Again, it is not supposed to just hold the weight, it's just to help it from not slipping down with that magnet. So when all's said and done, it helps. Now this one does not cram down. We're going to give it a little bit of room, maybe a 1/16 inch, and that's just in case your book gets flipped upside down, you don't lose it. So on the white, and I'm going to flip this around to where this is facing me, the white, and I'm going to try and make it even with the other one, and I'm going to leave just a 1/16, a smidgen, if that, and put that right there. Make sure I'm straight, for goodness sakes. I look pretty straight. Again, it's just a support so that it does not slide around. I'm going to use the back side of this to burnish a little. And it's something different. Okay, this is where I said you can place some bulkier flowers if you'd like, and I am. And I'm going to try and focus my flowers over on this side rather than near the spine area of my book. So I'm just going to grab some of these little flowers. And the thing is sometimes I will flatten out my flowers to smash them down a bit. And I have no problem with having that look. And I'm going to glue this down. So if you have bulkier flowers, you can use them right in here. So it's going to take a moment for that to dry. I am going to use a little accent over here. And the little Tim Holtz flowers, I'm going to get after these and add some. Alright, I want to try something here. Just believe in your dreams. I would like to grab that. And then what we're going to do is mount that onto some white cardstock. I want to see how this looks. And then we will cut around the white cardstock. So here's mine. And we can still get this out without bugging that. So I want to put that right here. And I'm going to bring it a little bit lower. Again, this is not supposed to hold the weight of this. It's just supposed to pop up and help just in case. So, alright, this page is complete. You should still be able to get that out very easily. Pop it back in and be done. This is going to be a little bit more difficult. We should probably have put the score tape on first. But on this one, what we're going to do is carefully put the score tape on all the way around like a picture frame. We are going to go one down the middle and two on each side. So for burnishing on this, I'm just going to kind of help it with my fingers over here, and the majority of the burnishing is going to have to be done once it's in the book. We are on the page 8 to put it in. And here's the thing, you're going to be mindful of where your hinge is. On this particular one, we're going to shift it mostly over to the right. You should have about a 1/2 inch from the side of your book. And then we're just going to try and line up top and bottom as best we can there. So most of the burnishing for me is going to be when it's in the book. I carefully did what I could. And now, and as you can see, everything is just staying together nicely, not falling apart. So 1/2 inch in. Try and line this up the best I can. I think that's going to be good enough. I'm not going to sweat it if it's a little off from being up there. My hair's falling out. So I'm going to remove this now, and this is where the burnishing, the really good burnishing, just be careful of that magnet right there. So I'm going to take probably a good minute or so and continue to burnish and get down my edges and everything. Okay, I am done with that. I'm just going to slide that right back in. It should hold, and I think those supports help a lot. Okay, page 8 is complete. The only thing we have left to do is the reinforcement of these page hinges. So we'll flop on over to page 1, and I'm going to put this off to the side, and we will begin finding our paper for that. In your reserves, you will find this print. It looks like it's 3 7/8 by 12 inches. On the other side, it looks like this. Let's turn it this way. We're going to measure over 10 5/8 and cut. So once you've done that, we're going to have a series of cuts here. We're going to measure over 3/8 and cut. We'll measure over 3/8 2 more times and cut. So we need 3 strips that are 3/8 by 10 5/8. So let's do that. So I have all 3 of those, and we're at the front of the book, and you're going to have a choice of which side you want to use. So the idea of this, and I'm going to get this all into screen here, is you're going to lay this so that we're going to cover that spacing without getting on our hinge here. So, and it goes top to bottom. It should overlap onto the white of the chipboard, covering here and here. And you want to get that evenly done so that it's evenly over. Same amount overhang here as over here. So for me, I'm going to take a look and see what I want to do. Do I want to use this side or the other side? And I think I'm going to use the light one here, at least on this page. So let's do this together. And using glue, we can maneuver this so that we can get the same amount of overhang top and bottom. I think that's good enough. As long as you get it on there. We will be teeing across, so that's helpful. But you want to use your tool to get right down here on that overhang for sure. And up here. I'm going to tack that down pretty good. So we're going to do that again. So choose. You want this side or do you want this side? And I'm going to go with the lighter side. And it's easy now because I can line the top of this up with the one over there. And this should fit in between without bothering either hinge. Clean up any glue that seeps out. Then I am going to flip, and I'll use this same one here. Keep it all the same. Okay, now the last one is wider. Let's grab that piece back out. We're going to measure over 7/8 and cut. And here is my strip, 7/8. And I can use that side or this one, and I am going to keep consistent and just use that. And it goes on this big panel right here. Now, even though that this has no hinge, I'm adding it so there isn't a big white space, and it just kind of looks good. Kind of all looks uniform by the time we're done. Hi, Tanner. What you whining about? Okay, now with this piece that you had left over, what I'm going to do is, you can see down below where the left side of that little trim is. And you can see over here, I'm just going to lay this down to match it up, and I'm going to make a pencil mark because I'm going to be teeing across it. I'm going to go ahead and cut. Now, there's probably almost a 1/4 inch now that we have this. Just verify. Hi, Tanner. What's up, baby? Just verify you fit side to side. Now, look at the bottom of your page here. Your page. There's probably about a 1/4 inch spacing before it goes over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure over a 1/4 inch and then measure over a 1/4 inch again, and then I'm going to cut. And I'll be right back. I think he needs something. So I have 2/4 inch, and this is where you might have to cut down a little bit more off this, but I'm going to place that down, and I'm going to make sure, here's my page, that when I place this down it doesn't go over, and I can definitely see that this would need to be trimmed down a little more, so maybe 1/8 inch is better on this book. It depends on how you situated your pages. I tried to get mine exact, but I don't want this interfering with my page either, so I'm just going to kind of trim it down and then look. And then I look like I fit better. So now this one can get glued down. So now it just tees across. So from here to here without going over or messing with my pages. Alright, I'm going to turn my book around and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to check this one. It's just way too wide. So I am going to hand cut. You can do yours any way you want, but it's probably about 1/8 is what it needs to be. Yeah. And I'm going to get that down. And this, believe it or not, does help with your page hinges on heavier books. It really does. You may not think that little bit works, but it does. It really does. Alright, so let's take a look now. Looks good to me. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I know that I struggled through teaching it because of the after effects of being sick, but I thoroughly enjoyed working with this paper. It was very easy. I love the design of this, and I hope you do too. I hope you join me on my next tutorial. Happy crafting, everybody.